Hey everyone, let's talk about Ivana, the latest Fire Soul Weaver that we've gotten, because she's been hotly debated, and I was trying not to make that pun with her Fire affiliation, but regardless, so many people said this, my voice is getting pretty bad. I don't know what I got. But anyways, many people feel like she's not good in the game. Others say she is pretty good. And me personally, I'm someone in middle ground. She does have her uses. And if you use her well, she can, my God, this was, she can actually tip the scales into your favor. But it's not easy to pull off. You need very specific enemy comps for that to work. And we'll talk about that in this video. So before we do that, though, let's get a quick overview of what Ivana does and what she doesn't do. So Ivana, first things first, let's talk about her kit. Let's start with the best part of the kit and also conversely the worst part of the kit. It's her S2, Light of Repose. The good part is she's unaffected by combat decreased readiness, which means you can't push her back unless she gets sealed. And even then, there is a bug currently. Even when you seal her with, for example, DN, and technically DN seal comes before the pushback, Ivana doesn't get pushed back for some reason, which is very weird. I believe that's a bug. But the most important part is, at the start of the turn, so when she takes a turn, it dispels immortality from all enemies and that ignores ER, which is very good. So that's pretty much the same passive as Veronica. And at the end of someone's turn, when an enemy has immortality, she grants she dispels all debuffs, which is very cool, and provides radiance for 2 turns to the entire party, which is 50% damage mitigation, which is pretty nice. It's another form of mitigation. And if you have, for example, Estelle on your team too, you have the 40% Aureus mitigation or transfer damage transfer from Ivana plus this 50% mitigation. It stacks and it's pretty good. So effectively 70% mitigation for every unit, unless I fumbled that quick math. But yeah, it's really good. And what she also does is she has a 50% CR push when an enemy takes a turn and has immortality. And that's the good part. The bad part is when you're too fast and you take turn 1, that passive does not apply. And you just press your button. And that's pretty much it. You don't even dispel the enemy's immortality, which is kind of weird. It should do that. And then the S3, another form of dispel. This one dispels only 2 debuffs from all allies. And it gives everybody ignore sharing for 3 turns and immunity for 2 turns, while also increasing CR for your entire party by 30%. Now, I like the ignore sharing and the 3 turns part. I don't agree with Smigate's decision to give her only 2-turn immunity. I feel like if the ignore sharing part is 3 turns, why not immunity 3 turns? That could have been good, especially against these heavy debuff comps. That could have been nice, but oh well. Small nitpick. And then the S1 is the most disappointing part. It's just a heal, a heal that scales off of your party's HP. So an Estelle will take or get more healing because she has more HP than, for example, a Reynard because she has less HP. And it's less than 10% of the max HP, but if you soul burn it, it's a little bit more than 10%. So it's not gonna make up the world. It's not really gonna save you, but the good part is that she cycles quite fast because her artifact communicants sensor is pretty decent. Because it 17% pushes you when an enemy takes a turn. Now this only applies once per turn, per her turn, we should mention. So she does an infinite cycle like Arcades, for example, but still it's 70% push. And combined with her already increased a high speed that you should play her at, it's not that bad. So let's get to how should you build Ivana. I've come down to this build, which is 15 or 1600 defense, 15k HP, which feels a little bit low, but so far it worked out. 283 speed, and that might be too fast, honestly. And the reason is most DNs, and let's show my DN, most DNs are played at 277. And that means you A, technically outspeeding these DNs already, and B, you are in speed RNG range of some mid-openers like Pirate Flan. Now, granted, most of the time an enemy would pick somebody really fast, such as Renag, Amit, Pirate Flan, one might say. I've seen a couple of opener Pirate Flans. Or Luna. Luna 3 is also a bane for her, because when she steals, she can't do anything. At least she does get the 17 push. And the cool part is, technically speaking, a Luna by herself doesn't do much, because at this speed, if we account for the 17% push, and Ivana, with Ivana's artifact, you have to, or the calculation for this is, you take her speed and divide it by 0.83, because we are pushing 17%. And it's not just multiplied by 1.17. That's not how this works. That's not how any CR works. It's only working when it comes to system-wide pushes, like the combat readiness RNG at the start of the battle. That's multiplied by 1.5, because that's system CR manipulation. But game-related CR manipulation, like this artifact, like her S2 passive with this 50% push, those are calculated by dividing. And in this case, because it's 70%, you subtract to 0.17 from 1.0, and then you get to divide it by 8.3. It's quite simple, it's super effective, and that's how you do this. So there is no other build than speed. In this case, you have to have a fast. And I picked immunity because you kind of want immunity. You want to resist stuff. Now, currently, I'm only at 192 ER, which is not enough. And I might drop some speed, go down to, I don't know, 270 speed and 250 ER. That'd be pretty decent. 250 ER be a 4 artifact. So let's quickly try to showcase what I mean by that. So that will work, but as you can tell, it takes a lot of good gear, which I don't want to lose. And in this case, not going for immunity could be okay, but we still want the immunity. So, and that's the issue I have with my accounts, that I don't really have good pieces in terms of immunity. So something like this could be really good, but again, I'd be taking away a lot of good pieces. Like I don't use Dreamlike Holiday Flan much. I don't use Cloudy at all. I rarely use Sea Phantom other than for Guild War, and I rarely use Light Arcades. I believe this is, I don't know if this is my POV Arunca or my counter Arunca. I couldn't tell by this item, but this is a build that I would say that's decent. That's pretty good, but I'd have to scribble it out anyway. And release imprint, it highly depends on whether you actually need the ER or whether not. When it comes to War Frenzies in RTA, so when you're champion and above, and if you are on ER Frenzy, I would always go with release imprint. With the ER Frenzy on 240, plus 25 years on 266, which means I'm most likely resisting most of the debuffers anyway. And at 27, yeah, this could be good. At 290, almost 300, would also be good. But I rarely select this one or the self-imprint during ER Frenzy. Most of the time, it isn't that much of an issue. So now let's check out some games. So if you've watched my Guild War video from last week, on Friday, that is, you will see a few familiar games, and I'll just roll the videos that I recorded. verbatim, no editing other than cutting out the first game, because in both games I believe I used Ivana on the second game. So I'll just cut this out for the sake of this video and not waste your time, basically. So you only have the most important parts. And then I have a few, meaning two, I believe, arena games, and I also used an RTA or played against an RTA. Because I'm made these videos at different points in time. I do have one RTA game where I actually used her and won. Where was it? Was it against Outlaw? No. Was it this? No, it was not this. I don't know that. Yeah, it was this. So I won this. Just to quickly show this off, there wasn't much to be done here. Like I S2'd onto Luna, pushed her back. Ivana pushed ahead because of the immortality, and the game was over. This guy had no business in the game. Lodos would have eventually solved this. So this is the kind of stuff that she's good for. But we'll get to that at the end of the video when I talk about her usefulness and whether you should pull or not, and my general overall impression, because I've been waiting a couple of days just to let the dust settle on her release and gather more information, play against her, play with her a little bit more, and to see how she actually performs, and not just go on a whim off of 2 days or 1 day of testing her. So let's start, I believe, with the Guild Wars stuff. Yeah, let's go for the Guild Wars stuff first, and then we'll go to regular arena and then to RTA. So enjoy. Now here comes the fun part, the showcase of Ivana. And I outsped right away. This provides immunity, right? Yeah, it does. And that's what I really, really like about Ivana, the fact that she provides immunity here, 2 turns, no less, is so good. It's so good. We also get the push right away, because at the end still has her stuff up. Alright. Counter, very nice. Here comes Freerun. We'll counter again with Estelle here, which is very cool. Okay, buddy. That was quite a lot of damage, I'll be honest. Ivana procs, very nice. We'll heal up a bit. And let's get rid of Freerun, hopefully, I guess. At least we'll heal up a bit. Oh yeah, there goes Freerun. So that was kind of close. This Freerun hurt, but then again, we didn't have the 50% mitigation here, but still, that's decent. 5k heal, because it's dependent on the HP from the bearer, or the user. So every HP value is going to be different after all. But yeah, good healing, depending on the HP. Actually, it's not good healing. 2.5k, that's bad. But look at the speed, holy. Alright, we back on immunity. She cycles a lot, I'll be real. But yeah, from here on out it's just a waiting game. But man, and damage on my Estelle was kinda lit, I'll be honest. But then again, she took quite a beating from I believe the Freerun also hit my Ivana, which is, I hate this game. 50% chance to miss on Ivana, but Freerun decides, nah, not today, we'll just hit. Otherwise my Estelle would not have died there. But nonetheless, this showcased Ivana quite well. I'm happy about this, that we got the game in. Alright, here comes the fun part. My Ivana, in fact, moves oh, the Freerun doesn't even have souls. So this is a Abyssal Crown Freerun, I would assume, which makes things a lot easier. We'll proc right away. We can even just attack into Freerun here, because she has no stuff. No magic bubble. Now, sure, we are at some minuscule danger, but yeah, as expected, 130 ER is more than enough against Genesis Rust. We also have 50% damage mitigation, so this Genesis Rust will not deal any damage. Yeah, he's on 3F, and just because is on 3F, he dealt 4.2k, but otherwise it was just 2.8k damage on a renuck, so to say. I really like this Ivana unit. So in these cases in Guild War, it's fun, and when Ivana works, it's super cool. The perfect. Let's do some damage. We can refresh our immunity, especially against very nice against scales here. We don't need the damage. What is it called? Ignore sharing. There is no sharing anymore here, but I guess sharing is caring. I lose both these buffs regardless, so might as well just S2 and S1. The Ras can't do anything regardless, so it's kind of cooked for the enemy here. Let's seal up Renard. Excellent dual attack. Let's injure down the Ras even more. 2.6k. Let's get rid of Ras here. And then it's just Jova. There we go. The healing from Ivana is really something that I don't like. I feel like if Smilegate wanted to buff anything, it'd be her healing, because that's kind of very, very meh. The rest of the kit I find it alright, but the healing is really not it. And I also kind of have the feeling that her impact on the game is kind of low once the main gimmick of hers runs out, which is the huge push and immortality plus the 50% mitigation, etc. But still, good showcase. It worked just like I hoped it would. Alright, let's dive right into Arena with Ivana. Let me tell you, it's really not easy. I have a second video. I bet I will play right after this, and you will see I was at 70-ish consecutive wins at that point, and I played 30 games and I never found another comp until this. So, yeah. Alright, so the enemy team has the perfect setup for Ivana, DN, Scales, perfect showcase, and it's Setsuka and Genesis Ra, so we'll be going with just pure takedown. I hope I have enough survivability for this. We'll find out, I guess, because there's very little healing on my end here, but it should be fine, honestly. Brackets, I really hope. Technically speaking, I would just go in with this and just press Nodos S3 and jerk off, but we're not going for Nodos here. It's supposed to be a little bit more approachable, so 268 Shu, meaning there is high potential for the entire enemy team outspeeding me and killing my actually, that's gonna happen even. Maybe not. No, Ivana should lap. Ivana should actually lap here. But we'll see, I guess. Yeah, Ivana should actually lap. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I'll go Biblis instead of Adelaf, because the 50% the 50% mitigation from Ivana should be more than enough to cover whatever Genesis Ras can do to us. Yeah, I'm feeling more comfortable with this. So let's go right in. The builds don't really matter, and this is, like I mentioned, I haven't changed the build yet. So there's the build for Ivana, and this should be fine. Let's go right in and see how this goes. As expected, the DN goes first, sealing up my Shu. Oh, this is a rather fast team all around, I feel like. And here comes the cool part about Ivana, we pushed above the scales. I didn't see the artifact. It's probably either... Well, it's no damage DN, which is very good for us, because she did nothing. So she's just basically high effectiveness and does nothing else. Now, we also have the cool buff for us. Now, unluckily, that buff's gonna get stripped. So, in all fairness, it won't do much here. However, I do want to push, or I do want the buff on my Ivana here. So let's get stripped anyway. There's the 50% mitigation, the real big part of her kit. All right. So Shu does has 3 with miss, which is unfortunate. Good part is we're going to stealth. The damage limiter doing the Lord's work. 30k HP Ross, that's quite a lot. Yeah, this team is incredibly tanky. Holy. Shu getting feared and targeted here. Let's apply debuffs. Alright, we can finally press S3 on Biblis. And once Shu is out of the woodwork here from fear, etc., and all these hyper annoying debuffs, we should be fine. Let's heal the Shu up. Alright, and from here on out, we'll... Can we stop targeting Shu, please? Why does she have to be highest? Highest HP. Oh yeah, because Zeno is kinda cooked. Alright, so that's finally the last attack on Shu. Now we can start working on Genesis, Ras, and then win from there. That damage. Like 19k. Holy. We'll also have our Biblis passive again. We get immunity. I mean, the damage sharing thingy is kind of useless now. But the amount of... like, didn't I press on scales? Oh, whatever. The amount of CR gain that Ivana has, even at 257 speed, is kind of insane, honestly. That's because of her artifact that just does so much. It's absolutely bonkers. Alright, Ras down to 18k HP. He can't do anything here. Our Biblis is ready to blast too. So let's press S3, and yeah. I was low-key worried about Ras's S3, especially with S2, but that 50% damage mitigation plus Biblis's passive, I guess there was no reason to worry at all. Let's close this out. So solo DPS Shu actually managed to win this easily even. Very nice. Very, very nice. So let's move on to the next game, I guess. And I'll show the second one. And that's probably gonna be it because, as you can tell, there isn't much to do here. Like, yeah, I could go into this, but it's such a hyper-specific comp, and I don't feel like Ivana is actually that good into lady, but she's super good into DM. But let's take a look at the other game that I prepared. I finally found another comp that we can use in Arena. It's so hard to actually find something that works. And even for this specific case, this is by far not the best use case for Ivana. Obviously, this is just a preview of the fight. The BBK is going to be in the front row here for maximum immortality stacks. And I mean, technically speaking, the easiest one here is going to be what's his name, Pavel, and on instead of Frieren we would use Veronica, and then it's just GG and you can lose. However, since we do want to showcase Ivana here, and I'm just going to safeguard myself from losing this, I'll go for Frieren. So it should still be very smooth sailing nonetheless. So very quickly builds Zeo, high effectiveness, Dien. Yeah, we've got Frieren, so we had triple book here. And then my Ivana, just like the one you've seen, there's nothing changed other than me forgetting to increase her artifact level. So let me quickly change that. All right. And I guess we can give this a swing. It should still be very, very smooth sailing here. All right, let's check the CR bar. This appears to be a mid-speed Harsetti because technically speaking, everybody is 10% below Harsetti, but that would mean that Ivana is 10 speed, which is correct. So this isn't necessarily a base speed Harsetti. It doesn't matter for our case now because what's her name is going to push up due to Ivana, due to Dien, yada yada yada, will just go like this. And funnily enough, the BBK actually did resist me. I have 200 effectiveness on my Dien, so this must be a super high ER BBK, or it was just the regular 15%, but none of this matters. With this free, there's most likely procs. No bystander here, but it should be fine. No, none of our units can die because we have 50% mitigation, which is another huge upside of Ivana. Yeah, I didn't see how much damage this dealt, but yeah, looks good. We're gonna press this button. Now we ignore damage sharing, and our Frieren is going to make most likely very quick work with this entire team. Actually, maybe not. I can see Harsetti survive, but the rest most likely is dead. Oh, enemy survived. We're getting another turn. We still have our ignore damage sharing, so we can dive right into her. And the fun part is that Ivana is about to take a turn again. Let's get rid of her. We can safely get rid of Harsetti here because we ignore damage sharing. And here comes Ivana and cleans up the house. Pretty good showcase, I'd say. We could ignore BBK not doing anything, and then easily, sweep in to get the win. I'm still rank 3, by the way. Oh, 1 point behind. Yeah. So that was a good showcase, and it's really hard to find teams where she works because, as you can tell, nobody here uses scales or DN, so it's kind of awkward. But I'll find one more game to showcase her, and then we'll close it up and move over to the RTA part. Okay, time for some RTA games with Ivana. So these are the games I played today. 23 hours ago, 19 hours ago. Yeah. So everything starting against Mech ODZ is from today. And all of these, I think all of these, but the last one have Ivana in them. I won the first 3. I have not played Ivana myself. Opportunity never presented to myself, I'll be honest. So we can quickly go through the game. So this was resistance warfare. I always pre-banned Harsetti and Zeo, and my enemy pre-banned Biblis and Nodos. And at this point in time, I still didn't have Ivana, so I hoped that my enemy would have her, and I just gave him the ideal combo with Scales and DN, and this is a part where you just pick Ivana on 1. I wouldn't have banned her, to be honest, because I always let content through on day 1. He picked it on 3 just to make sure she goes through, which is totally fine. I went with Freerun and Salome. I used Luna here because Luna pretty much hard counters his entire comp, especially Ivana and her passive and all the buffs that she gives. And I still won that game somehow. Let's see why I won this game, and you will see the reason real quick. And the reason being is, while it's cool that Ivana is fast, and this Ivana is probably 275 speed-ish because my DN is 270 speed. Now, remember, this is ER Frenzy. So technically a good frenzy for my enemy. So, excuse me. And you will see in a second what happens here. So naturally, I copy the fear in here because I need all the damage. Now sure, Ivana takes her passive because the game realizes I have immortality, and now he has 50% damage reduction, which is kind of huge. And as you can tell, I dealt very little damage. I get my invincibility stripped here. And the enemy has all these cool buffs, literally buff stacked. So actually it's not buff stacked. But now we have ignore damage sharing, which pretty much hard counters my scales. We have the 50% damage reduction, which hard counters pretty much anything that I have on my field, especially Freerun. And we also have immunity that helps against both Lady of the Scales as S1 and the potential seal from my DN. However, and this is the important part of why this guy's comp didn't work, I soul burn here just to get my immortality back. Now sure, I dropped the Bellona, but we ultimately do not care about this because, remember, ignore damage sharing. And what happened just now is I stripped all the buffs on ER Frenzy, on a unit that has a lot of ER too. And this is the issue with Ivana. If you do not build her for incredibly high ER, you lose these games. He actually could have won here. He pushed 42. He didn't. That's so greedy. Anyway, he would have not pushed, but he pushed to 45, so this was a good push. But from here on out, the game is basically lost for him. There's no comeback. He gets sealed now. Ivana can't do anything. I still have one more immortality left on my DN. And the game is over. He cannot, unless he... the play here for him was to superhuman Ivana just so she can strip my immortality again. However, my enemy did not realize the fact and went for superhuman on Bellona instead. Now granted, at first glance, this looks like the correct play, but trust me, it's not. You always push Ivana here, superhuman her, so she can take away my immortality once again, and I'd have a much worse time, because then she also refreshes the 50% mitigation once she gets a cooldown back, because the cooldown is terribly short on this. It's just 2 turns. So from here on out, it's just a solo Freerun showcase, especially once the buff runs out. And the enemy has a hard time dealing with my DN because I have 70% mitigation through Scales' passive. And I'm basically immortal with 200 ER plus the frenzy, so I'm 300 ER on my DN here. He's not stripping this with Warzone at all. And I have the freedom to just soul burn here. I have enough souls, 39 still left. Ruka, half HP, death broken, and I'm soul burning here to get rid of her. This also gets rid of, I believe, both the Ivana and, no, not Ivana, but the more important unit, which is, what's her name? Yulha. And from here on out, it's Jova. So yeah, the game went on for a few more seconds, as you can tell. But yeah, this was just roping at this point. He had no chance and no business. in coming back from this. The other game against Solak, who's always so lucky that he's first pick against me. I'm not quite sure what this draft was about. He probably wanted to discourage me from going any immortality unit, but let me tell you that Ivana without anything doesn't work. Sure, her artifact pushes her, and this is an incredibly fast Ivana. My Tenebria is about 290 to 95, I believe 295 speed, and she's 88% of my Renak. My Renak is 327, meaning this Ivana is probably 300 speed, which is incredibly fast. And as we will see, this Ivana is also on her own artifact, which, yes, makes her push up quite tremendously in this case. Oh, there she goes. She pushed up. She now sits at 100% because she pushes up. Well, I don't know if it was a maxed artifact or not. Maxed artifact would mean she would be at 88. But I have reason to believe that it's not a maxed out artifact, and it's just a plus 15 artifact, which means she only has a 15% push and is exactly at 100%. Because the next unit to take a turn was my Tenebria. And my Tenebria pushes 20 through the Fumia artifact, and it would end up at 105. Meaning the Ivana didn't have a maxed out artifact. A maxed out artifact, Ivana would cut here, and then I'd be in trouble, I would assume. But that way, the game was basically over. He's blocked on 3 units, and the hand gate can't do much here. And from here on out, the game was essentially lost. Yes, this boss Arunka is on Crown of Glory, so he means to reduce my souls, but I have way too much damage, and the main gimmick of Ivana, reducing damage taken, can't be applied to boss Arunka through block. So it was just basically over at this point. And look at the damage that I'm gonna deal here to this boss Arunka. So yeah, boss Arunka just basically died here. She comes back, sure, but I have Tenebria going next, and my entire team is going to move. It's looking kind of grim. He death broke, but I go into stealth, and then Solak realized this game is basically over because I can just kill off the boss Arunka right away. I did land Rupture too, so it was basically over. So Ivana doesn't work when you don't have any immortality units. Aelrod actually did use Ivana against this comp, but he let me have Luna in this case. And this was the game that was rather close. I would say, was it close? Yeah, it was super close even. So we as 2, we as 3, naturally, Ivana pushes up through an artifact. She out pushes my DN. So this was a pretty good showcase of what she can do in this case. So we go, we attack into the Estelle, and this Estelle is not really tanky. She just took 20k damage and is pretty much dead. So this Estelle, I think she was missing gear. I can't explain otherwise why she would take this much damage. Alright, so here's immunity. I can't do anything with my DN other than S1ing. And here we have Luna. I saw about a 3 here. There is no reason not to. The enemy has to pick his poison, essentially. The correct play, in my opinion here, is to just S2 the Estelle, just so she has more HP. He even did, which is fine. He went for Nodos, expected IS3 with Nodos, and then it's just basically Stompy stomp. So we go. The Estelle takes a lot of damage. She's very low HP and he has to focus. Technically speaking, he kills Renat, which I find to be a mistake. He needs to be injuring my Nodos down because I have souls and I can just kill off the Ruel here. This also kills the Estelle in return due to damage sharing. The Estelle comes back naturally. So we attack. Sadly, I made a misplay. I probably should have gone for Ivana here. The Estelle... Oh, actually, she does have gear. Weird. Anyway, she barely survived, which is okay for the enemy. Heals up, and then it's just Nodos versus the world. So I take the turn, I have souls, and I just went for the 45% evasion unit. I have 55% chance to hit, so the odds are in my favor. Here, and I actually did hit the Bellona and was over. Like I said, on average, I win this game 55 out of 100 times. This was one of those times, and I won. So Ivana, yes, she can work, but she needs to be faster than this. Or actually, you need a team that has more impact, that can deal with Nodos and all that stuff, because the main culprit here, why he lost, was Brenak. She just dealt way too much damage. And he needed Isaria on 4 and maybe Bellona on 5 that would have worked. And but I don't know. It feels kind of iffy. I feel like Elrond lost in draft and couldn't do much. Now, against Nero, it was my fault. I had a really bad draft. I don't even know why I picked Lua here, when the most obvious pick in the world was just Renak. Let's go into this. I get outsped for one, which is kind of embarrassing on Lua. So Nero has a 305, 310 speed Salome, because my Lua is 303, I believe. Not the fastest anymore. And if I picked Renak here, what I would do is I'd soul burn the Renak, because my DN, as we can tell, would outspeed the... Actually, would she? No, she wouldn't. But nonetheless, we would push back the Salome. We would dive into her, what's her name, Tori. This would 100% of the time kill the Tori, even through the Covenant reduction. And then Ivana would move, sure. Then my DN moves. She pushes back. No, she does not push back the Salome, but we can attack the Salome. This would trigger... No, it wouldn't trigger a dual attack, but we'd have the turn advantage, so to say. Let me quickly check how much push this is. It's a 30 push. Renat pushes back 20. So she'd be at... Oh, this is going to be hard. So she'd be at 80. 80... no, not 80. 90% CR. I'd push back to 70. Yeah, it would be a very close call with Freerun, I believe. So I could have still lost this, but yeah, in this case, this was more a Salome showcase than anything else. My DN even outpushed here, which is very nice. Now, because this she pushed so much, she actually managed to take the cut me here, which is highly beneficial. Oh yeah, that's why. Okay, yeah. And that's why I would have won. If I had picked Renak here, I would have won because I would push back the Salome on this case, because I would always cut with DN to go after Renak, most likely. And then I can just push back the Salome S1 with Freerun, and then I win from there. So this was more of a draft issue, but still he won because he had her. He can just cleanse it off, all of it now. He pushes above me, and then I just FF because the game is essentially lost. So yeah, this was a missed draft on my end. Let's go Renak, and I can't lose this. But still, I wanted to present this Ivana win because this partially was contributed by Ivana, because I still had a slow, minor chance at winning this if I just didn't get cut here by Ivana, but Ivana cut me. So yeah. Well, that's it for the RTA Showcase, so to say. So one Ivana win, even though most of the job was done by Sarome, and 3 losses. So all in all, I feel like Ivana is a high skill tier unit, just like Sarome. You can just pick her wherever you want. But she works well, and we'll see how she develops over the next few days, because this is just 10, 12 hours into a release, so she's still fresh. We're still figuring out the best things. And from my point of view, Ivana is just another Schneel, so to say, to discourage you from picking DN. Funnily enough, not that good into Lady of the Scales, but really good into DN. All right. And now let's wrap this video up for today. Okay, that wraps up all the showcases for Ivana. Now, the thing that you probably all are wondering, is she worth a pity? Is she worth pulling? It highly depends on what you're looking for. If you are just an arena player, you will notice, and that's because I haven't played today, and today is Monday, so I haven't played much. As you can tell, yes, there are a few scales comps in here, but Ivana doesn't really do much in those comps, because for the most part, you will just be cleaving these comps, and you don't need Ivana. So, and what you also very rarely see these days, and take it from somebody who has been Legend Tour 3 over this entire season, and I'm currently also ranked 3 of this season in Europe. So take this from somebody who plays arena a lot. Ivana is not Ivana. Diane is very rarely seeing play these days in arena. So she's not worth it when you only play arena, because you rarely have a case where you actually need Ivana. So if your main focus of the game is just playing a PvE and some arena just to get your flags away, skip her. She's not worth it. Put her on the wish list, because she will be a wish list unit. But if you're playing RTA, and if you're playing RTA seriously, that is, meaning champion and above, I would recommend that you at least get her without imprint and grab the artifact from the dust shop, because what she really does well is keep players from picking DN. And that's what really matters. Now, sure, nobody is forced to pick, or nobody's picking DN at 1 or 2 anymore, because then you just slam Ivana on 3 and your day is ruined as the DN player. But what's happening more often nowadays is that DN is picked on 4-5 instead, when you maybe cannot pick Ivana anymore because she doesn't fit your draft or something. And even if you were to pick Ivana, she'd just be a force ban, and maybe there was another unit that would have been better for your overall comp. So yes, Ivana is really strong, and she phases out DN to a great degree. I rarely played against DN ever since her release, which is kind of nice. I enjoy that very much. Not Luna, but Lady of the Scales I still see quite often, but not as much as previously, because people are very nervous. And especially when you have Nodos on 1, the enemy picks Scales plus X, and then you slam Ivana on 2 and an open on 3. All of a sudden, the enemy has to ask himself, herself, can I afford to ban Nodos? Can I afford to ban Ivana? And that's when you get them. That's the mind games you play. And for that reason, Ivana's pretty nice. But if I were to gauge her overall impact of the game, I'd say she's about Schneel tier. Schneel phased out DDR quite well. We've played a lot of Schneel versus DDR games until people got actually sick of it because the game never actually moved, and he was going to Frenzy 7, roped each other to infinity and beyond. And the same is basically happening with Ivana against Scales. Now, Ivana, because she's that fast and Schneel wasn't for the most part, same as DDR wasn't that fast as he's played today. Back in the day, the games are still fast-paced, but the amount of damage reduction and overall damage mitigation that is in the game right now through Estelle, for example, she tremendously slows down the game. But then there's units such as Arbiter Wilfred who still ruins the entire day. So overall, my thoughts is decent unit. I like playing her. I like playing against her. The impact on the meta, though, not as strong as I hoped for, but she's still a decent unit that will help you fight against DN most of the part. And sometimes, and I do want to stress this, she is not a clear-cut answer to Lady of the Scales. We all hoped for that, but she's sadly not. Because when you have ignore sharing, and that's what I want to stress here, if you have ignore sharing and the front line is incredibly tanky, Boss Arunka, though Boss Arunka isn't the best example with Scales, but say you have Estelle in front line with her own artifact, you don't, when you have the ignore sharing buff, that Estelle is going to live for quite some time because all of a sudden the damage doesn't get shared that much anymore or at all anymore. So always keep that in mind. It's a double-edged sword, the ignore sharing effect, especially against Scales. It's really good against everything else. But against Scales, it kind of can backfire if you're relying on getting rid of the front line. So always keep that in mind. So yeah, good unit. I like her, decent. Fits my playstyle as an aggro player. I don't think she's good in turn 2. She's decent in cleave and aggro, but that's about it. Thank you all for watching. I hope this video helped you make a good decision on whether to pull her or not. Feedback always greatly appreciated, and we'll see each other next time. Bye bye.